HiRevz Media is sponsored by Born to Ride Motorcycle Magazine. Check out borntoride.com. Alright guys, so here is the 44 IDF copy. This is one of the Chinese ones, and this one looks pretty nice. I looked at a few of them. Greg's put a few of these on, and got two of these that match now. Long story on that, but anyways, looks pretty nice. Got the Pierce manifolds, intake manifold for the dual IDFs on here. So I'll throw links to all this in the description. What I liked about this manifold set is that it came with the linkages, because that seems like that's one of the harder parts to figure out as I was going through trying to figure out what all I needed. So this comes with it, so you just need that and then two of these carburetors. So first thing we want to do is get this set up. There's a guy on here, Greg does a really good job with mine. He's kind of a carb expert on these now, as many as he's done. But the Easy Jeezy on here, old school Volkswagen guy, y'all probably know him. He's got some great videos on setting these up. I mainly want to clean them up a little bit, check for debris and everything, pull out the jets and all that good stuff, but also set the float height before you stick them on or try to adjust them or anything. So I'm going to go through and run through these now. Greg's already done one of them for me. I'm going to run through this one and so we can get them bolted up. All right, guys. So I got the carburetors set up and added this fitting and moved some fittings around. Got them all set and cleaned. The baby over there. And in order for these linkages, this is the two linkages that come with the kit. In order for those to intertwine, that piece there in the middle has to be in between those two when you put them down on there together. But in order for that to happen, I'm gonna have to trim the main throttle plate screw there down, bolt on each side. Those are just barely gonna fit together. I might even have to grind down to the nut a little bit. And those are gonna be right beside each other when they're all mounted all the way down. Should work, but man, that is crazy tight the way that they've got these made. It almost seems like it makes sense as far as these go, just to change the cast a little bit and move it over a millimeter or two, just to give it a little bit of extra room in here. And then I moved my throttle idle screws there to the outside on each of those, and then got a ball socket there to be able to hook that back up. And then once it's all on there, I mean, it should work theoretically. So, all right, guys. So look at this, how tight this is. And I'm still gonna have to even that up some on this carburetor on the right, probably to make it even fit. But now this part interferes, so I'm gonna have to trim down on this piece also, just to make it fit inside of here. It's just crazy to me. And now I wonder if the ball's gonna interfere with this. Might even have to cut that off this carburetor just to make this work. It might, I don't know. Golly, this is like crazy tight. And they said it was tight. Shoo. Man, that's crazy. All right, it's down, and that couldn't get any closer. I mean, I can cut this side off, but I can't cut that side off. Might be able to bend it back this way some and make it fit a little easier. I mean, I've already cut it now. I mean, it still could be bent a little bit, but I got that trimmed down. Look how close those nuts are. That is crazy, but I was correct. Look at this. Barely taps it. I'm gonna trim on that. Probably get that whole one off. God, this is crazy. I hate cutting on brand new stuff. That's expensive, potentially. All right, guys, this is what I've came up with. So I did bend this bottom tab out a tiny bit, so it kind of hits in the middle now all the way around, and then bent that over and kind of adjusted it where the linkage is going to be set up, which is kind of up that way a little bit, but now it's out of the way of both of them. I don't have to cut anything else. Those actually bend really easily when you put a crescent wrench on them, and work pretty good. So got the gaskets on here now. I'm going to bolt them up. Everything is working correctly now, all in line, so that is good. So I can screw this down now, even though it's working off the bottom anyways, but everything's working like it should. All 4 barrels are opening. It's gonna work. All right, guys, got the Fiat in the shop and gonna start pulling off this intake. So this one does have a different intake on, I think an earlier intake, because it's a single plane intake on here. This is a 34 ADF, I believe. So I'm gonna pull all of that off, and then I have to do something with all these lines that go to this thing and figure that part out. Should work pretty good though. A couple other little things I'm gonna do to it. But this is the carburetors over here now that we've been getting set up. Got intake gasket right there. So we get that part figured out. And these are all the boxes and junk that all that came in. But should be pretty good. Get this thing running down the road.
Actually,
all right, guys. Greg showed up and started just taking off lines left and right. No, so this is a return fuel line coming in, line going out. This is the bottom of the vacuum canister, or the charcoal rather, and then this is the top of the charcoal canister. We don't need either one of those because that's stupid EVA crap. I'm sure they got paid to do that by somebody. And then these are the water lines in and out, so we're going to take those loose and then start pulling this thing off. We also won't need this anymore. This is the power wire that goes to the fuel cutoff for the idle jet. So as soon as you pull that, it goes boom and cuts all fuel to idle. So they can't have any run on or anything, so it's not a bad idea. But that's just a hot wire ignition switch wire, which you could hook up to an electric choke if we had one. We won't have that either with the IDFs. So just these, and then we can start tearing it all the way down. So now we're going to try to remove the bolts and nuts that go to the intake. If we can get to all of them, if we can't, we'll have to pull the carburetor off also. So, but maybe we can get it all off together. So this is the booster for the brakes. This one here was our vacuum advance. Yours may be different than this because you probably don't have a single plane intake, but it'll be pretty close. All right, guys, intake is off.
Got another jacket there.
And there is water jackets in this. And it holds a fair amount of water up there, which is not what I expected. So it's peed everywhere. But
he got excited.
He got excited. I was getting new carburetors, you know, it just happens. So, but anyways, the old intake and carburetor is off. And the new intake and the intake gasket I bought is actually for this car, but since I have an older intake on here, I actually didn't need this one because this has this provision, which I'm not using at all. So I'll just trim it off. But these are the water jackets, and all of those are blocked on this Pierce manifold. So we'll just put a little bit of RTV around those, make sure they seal closed. And then that's one of our water lines. The other water line coming around here, we'll just have to block off somehow. All right, guys.
Oh.
The head is cleaned up and the gasket was stuck on. Got some 90-minute RTV gasket maker on both sides, so it'll fix itself as soon as we slide the intake on there, which is what we'll have going on pretty soon.
You grab a couple of lock washers and a couple of nuts, and I'm going to guide the intake up on it.
Yeah. And
then you just hand them to me while I hold it and run them up on there to hold it in place.
Sounds good. It's hitting on the bracket here. Is that going to be in the way?
I believe it might, which luckily I'll probably just bend it by hand, being that it is.
Might be able to move it a little bit.
We could unbolt it off that cam cover right there, I'm assuming, and push it together.
All right, guys, so for the moment, we just unbolted this. We might actually want to pull this up, Greg, and swing it around. Like, oh, there we go. Just to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
We'll have to find a new bracket for that. But dipsticks aren't important. Dual carbs are.
Exactly.
We'll figure that out later.
Right now, I just want to get these nuts
look
on
how
so
tight
I don't have to hold it. Oddly enough, because the way these runners are spaced, this thing's going to be way easier to bolt on than the factory one was to take off.
Yeah, because the other one was so big and flat and came way out here.
Right. Yeah, you're actually getting, for lack of a better word, sequential injection.
Yeah. Perfect amount of flow.
Yep.
With our V-dub sucking tool. V-dub carbs. Just can't get away from it. Hey, speaking of which, y'all haven't seen the orange bug since Greg got it. Look at this sucker. That thing looks awesome, don't it? Definitely been a minute since y'all saw this. Greg went ahead and lowered it down some, put the small tires on there. He put some portal walls on there, painted some stuff. He did his own wood grain, which looks really, really good in the sun. Like you see the grain coming out in it big time. Put the roof rack on there. I mean, he's just done a ton of stuff to it. So definitely looking good. Still got to work on that thing soon. Yeah, the bug looks pretty killer. And it has a single IDF on it now, which was a kit that I had picked up and Greg got. So the single IDF on there, and then it splits off to each head on it. So like I said, Greg's the IDF expert. Or the IDF expert.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Look how pretty that is. So nice. Race car. There were a lot of guys unhappy in the internet that we were messing with a almost original car that was in really good condition. But why would you start out with something that's a piece of crap? Best thing to mod is something that's already really nice. And now look how much nicer that looks.
You know what I like? Working on an Italian car, putting Chinese parts on.
That are for a Volkswagen, German Volkswagen.
And eating Mexican food. Mr. Worldwide.
And drinking Russian.
Exactly.
Daddy showed up with food.
Yep.
All right, guys, so getting this hose hooked up, got the throttle linkage, had to bend the original rod in a bunch of different places just to make it open correctly, but it's opening up all the way now, working pretty good. It took a little bit of figuring just to figure out exactly how to bend it to make it work. Got the oil dipstick mounted up to here, and got another hose going to our vacuum. Now we got to finish the fuel inlet here, plug off this hose, and I'm going to trim this one just a little bit to go on to our vacuum advance right there.
Fuel pressure regulator, filter.
Yeah, fuel pressure regulator and filter. This is another cheap one off of Amazon.
Fiat guys are going to love that.
Yeah, they are absolutely going to love that. Fram, the best you can buy for the gasoline filter, but it's got a nice small return built into it. 5/16 in and out, so that should work. So we're getting the lines all hooked up. I think we might be ready to start it. All right, Greg's hopping in to click on our fuel pump. So we've got our main line coming in, got our filter, our return going back to the tank. Got this set at 2 PSI and should start filling up going into here and here. I think it's gonna be good. I don't see any leaks. Wonder if we got any squirters yet.
I'd say flick the linkage and see if she squirts.
There it goes. Yep, squirting
there
fuel.
they are.
There they are. They pumped up. So we're about ready to fire this thing off. You want to see what it does, Greg?
Yeah. You want me to work the throttle too?
No, I'll work the throttle from up here. Just
I'll let you work the
yeah.
throttle and I'll just spin it.
squirt a little bit more in there. Okay. Shooting fire back to this one. We'll let her warm up and see if we can get her adjusted. They sound awesome though already.
Oh yeah.
Greg's going through, checking the balance between all of them, get them all about the same. Then we'll know they're pulling about right. Everything adjusted out. But they look awesome. All right, guys, got her idled down. And it revs like a chainsaw now. It's got a nice little heavier gurgle than it had before. Oh yeah. Race car. Everything seems to be running about right in here. So I might end up having to get smaller stacks here. They make shorter ones, so that it's gonna be super close to the hood. I mean, it's gonna be really, really close. So I might start trying to smother it. But you can get shorter ones here, and we can get short air cleaners. And you don't even have to run these technically, but they do run better with them. Might have to get smaller emulsion tubes or extensions or whatever. But God, these things look so good. All right, guys, we're about to take it down the road, but before we did, we closed the hood and checked it. It did have a little bit of a gap there, but we want to make a little bit better one. So what we did is we went more race car.
Fiat group approved. They're gonna love it.
They're gonna love it. And then, so this actually gave us another 1/2 inch. Now we've got about that much, you know, above those. So this might work fine. Might just put screens on them because this gave us a pretty good bit of room in here, and it really doesn't look that bad. And it's still gonna work to reflect some heat. So, and it looks cool. That sounds awesome. It's amazing how much throatier the exhaust is now.
Oh, I told you it would be.
That's crazy. This whole thing looks so good.
time to get out and play. AMSOIL delivers the ultimate protection for your vehicles and equipment. Fast, free shipping right to your door. Spend $100 and shipping is on us. Order now at AMSOIL.com.